The Miami Hurricanes have two of the top five graded running backs in the ACC. According to Pro Football Focus, the Hurricanes have the sixth best running back room in the country. What can we expect from Mark Fletcher Jr. this year?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We made it. I'm Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, writer for allhurricanes.com and co-host of Locked On ACC. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. To the everydayers, we love you. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. On this episode, it's a busy episode. We're going to have a special guest on this one. We're going to talk about the massive recruiting weekend that has begun at the University of Miami. There is a new crystal ball to land at the U. Miami, of course, has landed 3 consecutive verbal commits in 3 consecutive nights, with Amari Wallace, the safety out of Miami Central, being the latest one. We had a Welcome to the U episode for Wallace last night. But first, folks, I'm so excited for this because I am, and I have been since he arrived at Miami, even before that, because I covered him a little bit coming out of high school. I am so excited to have a conversation here with Mark Fletcher Jr., who is going to be part of that battering ram combination. You got Damien Martinez now. You've got Mark Fletcher coming back for his second year. We have the pleasure, folks, of sitting down with someone who oozes leadership, oozes maturity, and oozes competitiveness. Let's talk with Mark. So happy to be joined here by Canes Connection athlete and star Miami Hurricanes running back Mark Fletcher. Mark, thank you so much for taking time to join the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, man. And everyone wants to know how you're doing, because the last time we saw you on the field, you suffered an injury in the bowl game. How are you, and how's your recovery going?
I'm fantastic, and yeah, that was the last time y'all see me, but expect a lot of big things coming out this year. I'm doing great.
What are you expecting to take from your first season in college into your second season? Because I think everyone was impressed, Mark, with how quickly you adapted last year to the college game. What are some of the biggest things you learned last year?
Really, they just threw me in the fire, and the coaches trusted me in that. And I played a lot as a freshman, but to be honest, I wasn't really satisfied with that season because I was injured a lot. I missed a lot of games, and I still produced when I had to, but I want to do more, and I always want to be better than what I was. So what I'm going to take my first year and put it in this year is I just got to stay consistent and keep going, and most definitely stay healthy. And I just want to learn from those things.
Is there any sort of like magic formula you think that can help you stay healthier? Is it something you want to change? Is it something about, maybe there is, maybe something about your diet, your workout regimen. Is there anything you feel like you can do?
I could just leave it all up to God. That's all I could do. Yes, sir.
Mark Fletcher this past season as a true freshman at Miami, 514 yards, 5 touchdowns. Some of those were really, really big touchdowns. When you did finally, get your number called last year and your carries started to go up, what did that feel like? Did you feel like you were starting to live your lifelong dream?
Oh, yes, sir. Most definitely. Like, this is what I always wanted to do. And given that opportunity and seizing those moments, it was just like, it wasn't a better feeling. And, it hurt me when I got hurt because I knew I would have to go through a lot of trials and tribulations. But I'm just happy to going right in the back direction.
Since last season, Miami has a change at running backs coach with Matt Merritt now there. What are your early impressions on your new position coach?
Man, he's going to show you a lot of tough love, and, he wants me to be the leader of the group. He feels like I could step up and do that, even though we're all leaders. But he really wants me to take over the room, and, he's just showing tough love already. And, we're already building a great relationship, and everything in the room is just about honesty, respect. And he just wants the best for all of us, and he's showing it since he's been here.
I love that. Mark Fletcher joins us, Miami Hurricanes running back. Of course, we're creeping closer to fall camp. We're creeping closer to August 31st against the Florida Gators. Do you allow yourself to start thinking about that rivalry game, or is that just so far down the road you don't want to think about Florida yet?
I mean, everybody sees that that's the first big game. It's hard not to get, excited about it, but you just got to take it one day at a time. It's not here yet, but it's coming. We're just getting ready for it. We're just working every day, getting ready for that day.
You've got some important new offensive teammates since last year.
Yes,
Let's start with the guy who's in the same position group that you're in, Damien Martinez. And I know everybody who watches and listens to Locked On Canes has heard this clip from the Momentum podcast because we played this a while back. I was blown away on that interview, what you said about the way you're embracing Dame. If anyone thought you might be like bitter or you didn't want him here, it was quite the opposite, Mark. You've had a chance to speak with Damien. What are your impressions on Martinez and what he's going to bring to the team?
He's a winner. He's a winner. He's a hard worker. And, he's a very detailed person in how he carries himself. And not even by on the field, off the field as well. We didn't drove in the same car. I just took him home the other day, new place down here. But he's a cool guy, man. I just can't wait to work from him and learn from him.
How long is he's been on campus just for a short time now, right?
Oh, yeah, not even. I think this really his first week for real.
Have you had a chance to see him work out yet at all?
Oh no, I haven't, but I've heard people around the building saying, "Oh, that boy Damien, he can run." So I just can't wait to see it.
And there's a lot of other talent, Mark, in that running back room along with you guys. It's going to be interesting to see a lot of talented players, fighting for carries. I was watching Chris Johnson doing his thing during spring football. Ajay Allen, he was recovering from something during spring as well. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey is on campus now. And I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about Jordan Lyle since he's been on campus, the true freshman. So talk to me a little bit about some of these other guys outside of Martinez.
Really, like we all, everybody knows CJ as the speed demon. We know that boy is super fast, but the way he's developed, last year didn't go the way he wanted it, but the way that he's just developed and that he's just taking the coaching, taking the learning, he's gonna have a ball out year. Even Jordan Lyle coming in, Chris Wheatley, we all just bring something different to that table. It's just anybody you could throw in there, we could give you results, and that's just the beauty of having all these different type of running backs.
There's also a new starting quarterback in town, Cam Ward, who's been doing his thing the last couple of seasons at Washington State. What stands out to you most about Ward?
Man, just his competitiveness, I would say. I seen him, because I couldn't play the spring, with the injury, but I seen him throw a 50-yard bomb over a DB, and then he'll go run down there and talk trash to the DB. And, it's all, love, all for just the fun of, the game. But, he's just that competitive, and I've never seen a quarterback do that myself. Well, yeah, just his competitiveness.
Are you expecting, this year maybe catching even more passes out of the backfield? Do you think that's something that's going to be in the game plan?
Most definitely. Yes, sir, 100%.
We'll continue our conversation coming up with Mark Fletcher Jr. And folks, remember, we are going to talk some recruiting on this episode because, it is Friday today, which means there are 10 official visitors, most of which have already arrived on campus who are in for a full weekend in Miami recruiting. Some big-time players the Hurricanes are going to try to lock down this weekend. So, folks, you want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand-new episode. More with Mark Fletcher coming up next here on Locked On Canes. And I'm only getting started with Gametime. Folks, Gametime is the only ticket app that I use because I'm getting the best last-minute deals. And quite frankly, I'm getting the best features. There are things on the Gametime app that I simply can no longer live without. If you're excited to get out to some Major League Baseball games or a potential Game 7 between the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers, Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace, by the way, of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Folks, the last-minute deals are incredible. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. The zone deals are great. Save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats for you. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. I can't live without that. And folks, you get the total up front. There are no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Being someone from American heritage, you're a South Floridian through and through. What does it mean to you to be able to stay at Miami? Because obviously you had opportunities to go to schools, not anywhere near the area. You were, verbally committed to Ohio State for a while. So what does it mean to you to represent your city?
It means everything to me. Like, this is what I dreamed of as a kid. And yes, I was committed to other places before I came here, but man, this is the best decision I made. Like, this is my best decision I made as an 18-year-old, and I don't regret none of it at all. No matter what I've been through, I'm just happy I'm here, and I can't wait to keep going year after year and just grow. And I can't wait to be an alumni for this beautiful school. Like, I'm part of history, and I'm happy I'm part of the U history.
I love to hear that. You talked at the top about, your own personal consistency, wanting to stay off the injury list this coming season and all that. And obviously for the entire team, there were inconsistencies last year, Mark. I mean, Miami had some great performances, some not so good performances, 7-6 record. From the perspective of the entire team, what can you tell me about how you guys are going to be more consistent as a unit this year, and why you think Miami is going to be a better football team in 2024?
We're going to be a very better team in 2024 because we're really all in every position locked in on all the little things, all the details, going back to the drawing board. Anybody that's new coming in, no matter where they came from, they're developing this culture that we're bringing, that we're building. And that's just why you're going to see a better team. Like, it's no man left out. And if anybody's not with it, then they're not going to be a part of the Miami Hurricanes.
What about in terms of like offensive consistency? Yeah, a new quarterback this year, but he's so mature, and I've had a chance to talk with Ward, and I know he's on top of this offense. But for Miami, you guys have the second year under Shannon Dawson, so you get continuity for the second year in the same offense. How important is that going to be, having that consistency from last year to this year?
Oh, this is just going to be something to build off of. Everybody's seeing how explosive that offense can be last year. And, people say he might just needed the players. Well, I know for sure we got the quarterback and we got the receivers. We got the O-line to block, got the running backs to add some protection. And it's just going to be beautiful to see what Shannon Dawson could do with all of us.
And there's new players on the defensive side of the football as well. Who are some of the guys on the other side, whether it be guys you played with last year or against in practice, or some of the new faces? Who are some of the guys on D that really pop most to you?
Well, the new faces, I didn't really get to see them yet, like all of them. But I know, like, even a little freshman, Bobby Pruitt, he came in just causing havoc, man. But that's really the only new person I've seen myself, unfortunately, because I was really out the mix for a little bit. But I'm just excited to see how much Bain is gonna grow from that crazy season he has last year. Damari Brown, how he's gonna grow. Freshman cornerback went in there last year, did his thing. So I'm just excited to see the guys who I came in there with grow with me.
We had a chance to interview Bobby Pruitt on the show 2 weeks ago, and for someone who's an early enrollee, true freshman, I'm just blown away by his maturity. I feel the same way. You're heading into your second year, but I feel the same way about you, Mark. I feel like you've got a lot of maturity, and I see a lot of leadership qualities in you. That really seems to be something that Mario Cristobal and his staff look for when they recruit players. And one of the things that Pruitt brought up to me was one of the team goals this year is to really be a self-led team, right? Obviously, coaches are important, but so much of that leadership needs to come within the locker room.
It has to, because we're the ones on the field at the end of the day. Like, it's going to have to be that way. It has to be self-led. You have to hear it from a brother who's right next to you. Y'all, like, everybody in the building wants the same goal. But the players, we're the ones on the field in the workouts, sweating, bleeding, crying together. So it's only right that when you mess up or you're wrong, that you hear it from the guy next to you that's gonna do the same thing. So this team has to be self-led.
Who do you feel are some of the most vocal leaders in the locker room?
In the locker room, I would say Cam Ward, Michelle Powell, Xavier Restrepo, and who else can I say? Right now, I just named those guys, but definitely. Oh yeah, that's another guy I forgot. Michelle Powell. He came
Yeah.
in. He came in, and played in the national championship last year, and he had lost. But man, he came in. Man, he just was a leader. Showed us how it could be, like how it was over there at his organization, what it needed to be over here. And he just came in and balled out, did his thing. But he's bringing us all up to that level with him. And when a new guy comes into a new system, they're the guys. They're just trying to do their part, and get out. But he came in. He's trying to make everybody become to that winner mindset. And that's just one thing I love about him. He's very vocal, and he'll tell you when you're wrong or you're right. You gotta respect it.
I respect it. What are your goals? Maybe you can say you've already talked about your individual goals in terms of what you want to be this coming season, but what would you say are the team goals for Miami this coming year?
Team goals. We just gotta stay together. That's one thing, and stay consistent. That's what I believe. Like we stay consistent, we stay together. There could be no break. There could be nothing that we can't go through. We stay together. It's over with.
Right on. And we're fortunate enough to be able to talk to Mark Fletcher, thanks to Canes Connection. And I know so many folks have been asking how they can get involved with the collective. We do have a special link for you guys. If you use our show code LOCKED, that's LOCKED, they're going to give you 20% off your first month at any membership tier. And Mark, of course, you are part of the Canes Connection family. What does it mean for you to be a part of that?
Oh man, it's amazing. They helped me with so many things as far as building my brand and just things like that, learning how this business world actually goes and things of that nature. But it's just nothing but help, and I'm very thankful for it.
Well, and we're all rooting for you, Mark. Mark Fletcher, who was huge part of Miami's season last year. I know he's going to be that again. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on the show. All the best to you and all of your teammates as you guys prepare for a big 2024 season. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Huge shout out and thank you to Mark Fletcher Jr., Miami Hurricanes running back, for joining us. I'm so excited to watch Fletcher run again this year. It's not just Fletcher and Martinez. Chris Johnson with that blazing speed. Fletcher talked about him. Ajay Allen, Jordan Lyle, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey. It's going to be a fun running back room to cover this year. There is a new crystal ball prediction in favor of Miami. Gabby Urrutia at InsideTheU.com dropped this early this morning. Now, this is a player that we've talked about him a little bit the last couple of days on Locked On Canes because Steve Wiltfong had already dropped a Fong bomb from On3 Sports for defensive tackle Derry Norris out of Port Orange, Florida, Spruce Creek High School, to land at the U. 6'3", 265 pounds. This player is in an area that's not scouted as much. We talked about him a little bit with Brian Smith the other day, but Norris seems to be someone who's rising up the rankings when it comes to defensive linemen in this class. Other schools that have shown interest in him, Georgia Tech, Minnesota, Alabama, and Arkansas. But Derry Norris is someone who is a potential Miami commit, and he's going to be announcing in a week. So he has a commitment announcement scheduled. So, if you're wondering, hey, is Miami going to land another verbal commitment tonight? If maybe, probably not going to be Derry Norris, though, tonight, because Derry Norris's announcement, according to his 24/7 Sports profile, is scheduled for June 28th. So a week from now, we will find out if Norris is going to be a Miami Hurricane. 6'3", 265 pounds, had already been forecasted to Miami by Steve Wiltfong of On3. Gabby Urrutia at 24/7 Sports has thrown in a prediction there as well. And guys, if you think about official visitors coming up, You've got one of the top players in the class, 5-star defensive lineman, Jose Epinesa, coming up. You've got my favorite offensive lineman in the class, S.J. Olofai-Tuli, coming in for an official visit, and so much more. We're going to talk about these visits coming up and an opportunity Miami has to close. There are 10 players that are on campus now through Sunday that the Hurricanes will work their magic with, right? These official visits. Everyone loves going to the cookouts at Mario's house. They love the boat rides on Biscayne Bay. They certainly love the family atmosphere that Miami works so hard to create. You hear that word family get thrown around a lot after these recruiting official visits. And Miami's got 10 huge opportunities to hit it out of the park, including a player who's been verbally committed to Miami for some time now. Hurricanes have a chance to lock it down. Speaking of locked, you want to keep it locked right here on this brand new episode. We're not done yet on Locked On Canes. Shout out to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today on this wonderful Friday. And folks, if you want to take your everydayer experience to the next level, try our exclusive SMS texting service. It's through a service called Subtext. It's called Locked On Canes Insiders. I include a link in the show description below to become a Locked On Canes Insider. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours with recruiting scoops, breaking news, show updates. You can ask me one-on-one questions on there. We do Q&As on the show all the time with Locked On Canes Insiders questions. Try it free for 14 days. Click that link below. Then after 2 weeks, if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value on there on the Locked On Canes Insiders chat. All right, so we mentioned Derry Norris, defensive tackle, has been crystal balled to Miami. He visited 2 weeks ago, back on June 7th. So if you look at what Miami has on tap this weekend, you're going to be getting Jose Epin. I think it's Jose. I keep saying like an extra syllable. Jose. His father actually, who's football. I think his father was an Iowa player, so was his older brother. But the family apparently really likes Miami. That's what Steve Wiltfong said earlier this week. His father actually put out a tweet where he clarified the pronunciation of his son's first name. It's like, imagine it starts with a Y. Jose Epinesa is going to be visiting Miami. One of the very best defensive linemen in the country. 6'4", 230-pound player. His older brother Ajay plays for the Buffalo Bills right now. And, you know, Jose had a visit here, an unofficial visit during spring football, caught one of the practices. He and his family were blown away by Miami. Miami gets another opportunity, an even bigger opportunity with the official visit. And going back to, we talked a little bit yesterday about Steve Wiltfong's predictions. He didn't actually drop an RPM prediction for Jose to land at Miami, but he did say he was close to maybe doing that. So Fong has acknowledged there is a lot of Miami momentum in this recruitment right now. And Iowa, where he's got those family ties, has been a big factor in Jose's recruitment. I was told a couple of weeks ago, I read something within the last couple of weeks that apparently he really enjoyed his visit to Utah. I don't know if that was just like the Utah folks are like, hey, coming to the Utes. But apparently he had a really good visit to Utah, but Miami has an opportunity to try and get even more momentum with one of the top players in the country, because Epinesa is the third-ranked defensive lineman in the entire class of 2025, and he's the top player from the state of Illinois. He's from Edwardsville, Illinois. Miami, if you remember, got a couple of really good Illinois defensive linemen last year, Marquise Lightfoot and Justin Scott. So maybe that tradition continues with Epinesa, but this is a big visit coming up. S.J. Olofai-Tuli, who I talk about a lot. Nebraska, Michigan have been big factors for him. This is, if I go by his rankings here, he's the second-ranked interior offensive lineman in the entire class. He's rated 4 stars. SJ, I had a chance to briefly meet him at the Miami spring game. So he was down here. I think that was his first ever trip to South Florida. He's from Las Vegas. He goes to Bishop Gorman. So he liked what he saw at Miami's campus and liked what he saw with coaches and players back in April, and he's back now for the official visit. This is someone, if Miami can potentially lock down Olofai-Tuli, and there have been some crystal ball predictions for him to land here in the past. It's been a very competitive recruitment for him. But if Miami can lock this player down, this is someone who could end up being either the center of the future or one of the next great guards of the future, because he can play guard or center at a very high level. Again, second-ranked interior offensive lineman in the entire country. Ben Hanks Jr. is going to be on campus, cornerback from Booker T. You know, he is a Florida legacy. Ben Hanks Sr. played there. Seems like Florida has gained some momentum in Hanks's recruitment. Hanks is someone who in recent weeks, there's been a lot of buzz for Miami trending out in front for him. I don't know if Florida stole some of that momentum, but the official visit is a big opportunity. You've also got USC commit safety Hilton Drake Stubbs from Mandarin and Jacksonville on campus. You know, we've seen in recent weeks, sometimes verbal commits to USC are not all that solid. So, you know, maybe Miami can work on a flip there. And Miami did have maybe a little bit of Stubbs momentum before the USC commitment. Going to try to get some of that back. Columbus safety Bryce Fitzgerald, Mario Cristobal's alma mater. Bryce is going to be on campus this weekend. Miami Central defensive lineman Randy Adarica is going to be on campus for his official visit. Randy, your teammate just committed to Miami last night, Amari Wallace. Adarica, can Miami try to secure something for him? His recruitment has been very competitive for him as well. Pace edge rusher Tylon Lee will be here. Newberry, Florida defensive lineman Jaquez Carter will be here. Herbert Scroggins, who is an edge rusher out of Savannah, Georgia, Benedictine Military School. And yeah, I'm also not forgetting a Miami verbal commit, 4-star linebacker Elijah Melendez, who's going to be making his official. He's on campus now for this weekend. Miami needs to lock this one down this weekend. Melendez is an excellent player. Even though he is verbally committed to Miami, has kept his recruitment somewhat open. He's taken other official visits. He was just at, I think it was just last weekend, he was at Oklahoma. OU was trying to steal him away from Miami. So Miami has a chance to potentially lock it down and hopefully, you know, prompt him to shut down his commitment, because Melendez is a player I really, really want to see in this class. So folks, again, official visits have started. The festivities are starting down in Coral Gables. We will talk about anything we hear coming out of these OVs, because, again, big weekend, big opportunity. I'd love to especially hear some smoke starting to gather for Jose Epinesa, because that would be, wow, what a victory that would be if Miami could end up getting somewhere in his recruitment. So thank you guys so much. And huge thank you to Mark Fletcher, who was awesome. Thank you so much to Mark for joining us. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. And guys, if you enjoyed the conversation we had with Mark Fletcher, remember, Fletcher was brought to you by the great folks at the Canes Connection Collective. He's a Canes Connection athlete. He's part of that family. We're part of that family as well here on Locked On. In fact, I've got a special code for you. If you want to be part of one of the best and most successful NIL collectives in America, because that's what Canes Connection is. If you want to get involved, you've been thinking about joining, you haven't taken the plunge yet, well, this is a great time to do it, because, folks, we have a special code. If you use our code LOCKED, that's LOCKED, LOCKED, type in our code LOCKED, and they're going to give you 20% off your first month at any membership tier, right? Membership tiers start at $25, go all the way up to $1,000. Any membership tier, 20% off your first month with our code LOCKED at canesconnection.com. So huge thank you and shout out to everybody for joining us. Hit that thumbs up on the way out if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. And we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.